you are sharing your life with someone else, are you sharing your bank account too? Or do you stand by the saying, what's mine is mine? It can be a complicated decision. Ashley joins us now to break down how to share your finances or not with your partner. Hey, Ashley, how are you?
Hi, Tracy. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you here and to chat about this. Let's start with this one. When should a couple start their financial journey? Like, is there a right time?
I've worked a lot with different clients, and honestly, there's no right time. I think the most important thing is to make sure it's the right time for you. I've had clients come in where they're moving in for the first time, whether it be after a year or a couple months, all the way to we're having our first baby. And that's when they start thinking about combining their finances. So it's really about when it's the right time for you. The most important thing is to remember it's never too late.
Okay, now share with us a few ways couples can start to share their finances with each other.
The first one is setting up. So, really going through the house rules when it comes to sharing your finances, getting some of the hard questions out of the way. The next one is understanding one another's money stories. So, we all come from very different backgrounds, very different relationship with money. So, understanding our own and understanding our partners is obviously a very important step. Goals. So, we all have our individual goals. I want to buy that Ferrari or something along their own personal interest. And then also you have couples goals. So sometimes that's buying a house or saving for retirement, saving for that big trip. So understanding goals is really important as well. The next step is operations. Operations is really when we think about after we have our goals, well, how are we going to manage that in and out flow of money? So what does that account setup look like? Where does it come from? Where does it go? So operationalizing the whole operation is really important. The next one is about communication. So having a strong basis of communication is crucial so that you can share all the hiccups that might happen along the way and all the great things that happen along the way as well. And which brings me to my last point, it's about celebration. So celebrating your small wins together, whether it's about being able to save up for that vacation or being able to put away money for your child's education. We need to celebrate along the way to cheer one another on.
Yeah, the celebrating is so motivational. You know, set that goal, and when you hit it, don't just go right by it. Like, make a point of saying, we did this. This is great. It's really motivating. And I love that you put that emphasis on communication. So I'm a big believer in talking about everything, even on days when you don't feel like talking, even when the topic matter is a little ugly. Now, if a couple is watching right now and they're thinking they want to start tonight, they want to start this financial journey together, what would be a great first step to start talking about this?
The next step is being able to create some house rules. So whether that's allowing the other person to speak freely without cutting them off, or making sure that there's no judgment as we share one another's stories. So understanding, listening, and learning is very important. And then the next step is really to tackle those taboo questions. So if you're doing this for the first time, there are very obvious questions that we might want to ask, such as, are you open to sharing that money with that your income with me? How much money do you make? How much do you owe? How much do you own? So there are the very obvious taboo questions that as a society we don't address it very often. But then there are also the tougher questions. So things like, what happens if we break up? How much money is too much to spend without consulting you first? What if one person has more debt than the other person? Are we going to tackle that as a team, or should we take that on individually? There are no right answers. It's just being able to get that understanding up front.
Ooh, those are good questions. I don't think we've even tackled the what happens if we break up question, but all the rest for sure. Yikes. Okay, so you say that there are a few different ways that you can sort of join finances with a partner. What are those ways?
There's no right answer. It's about what works for you as a couple, what is going to help you succeed in your goals. So the first step is joint expenses. So imagine you have all the expenses of your daily livings kind of in one bucket together, and you still have your income in two separate pots. Well, what you could do is you can split that expense right down the middle. So each person contributes 50% of the total expenses. So that's the first method. Again, that's joint expenses, but 50-50 split. The second one is income-based. So sometimes person A and person B might make very different income. So let's pretend person A makes about 20% more and person B obviously makes 20% less. So perhaps as a couple, you might decide, well, let's take that expense and divide it so that person A is paying 20% more. So that's another way to do it. Again, that's income, that's joint expenses, but splitting it up income based. The next one is where all your income goes together into one pot. So rather the pot being about expenses, let's make that about income. So what you could do is split your spending 50-50. So I get, 200 bucks a week, you get 200 bucks a week, and we can go and spend however we want, but we have that big pot where we're tackling our goals and our expenses together.
Thank you, Ash.